Hello everybody and welcome to episode 13 of This Korean Life. My parents were busy around the time I was born and chose the Ace Ventura package to get things done and over with as soon as possible. Unfortunately for busy parents, today's politically correct, hypersensitive to everything society has made getting an ace a socially unacceptable option when it comes to delivering your little bundle of joy. Parents these days are kinder and gentler with their little ones and look for trusted care providers, supportive birthing facilities, and good quality yet affordable baby supplies. Morning Calm Birthing Services provides all you need to know about giving birth in Korea. The company was founded by Adele Vitale and Miriam Manago in 2014 and has provided labor support, prenatal education, Dunstan baby language training, consultations, and postpartum support. Follow Morning Calm Birthing Services on Facebook or send them an email at enquiries@morningcalmbirthing.com. That's enquiries@morningcalmbirthing.com. This podcast is also brought to you by Pop Songs for the ESL Classroom. It's time to toss out your old, boring grammar books and pick up a copy of Pop Songs for the ESL Classroom. Pop Songs for the ESL Classroom is a collection of 15 popular songs from the past and present that will engage your students and have them more interested in learning than ever before. Each song is accompanied by 4 worksheets that have different activities and speaking topics. The Notes for the Teacher section in the back provides a deep insight into the song and provides multiple suggestions on how to change your regular class into an experience. All of these worksheets and songs have been hand-selected, tried, and tested. What are you waiting for? It's time to spice up your classroom. Check out the Pop Songs for the ESL Classroom on Amazon by clicking the link below or checking out the episode post on Facebook. Ladies and gentlemen, today we were joined by a young Nepalese student, Avinas Chapagain. Avinas told his story about leaving the nest, exploring the world, and learning about life on his own. His drive and determination to learn and make the most of every opportunity are enviable. His story about leaving Nepal, visiting his father in Korea, and finally studying in Australia is unique and intriguing. Listen to hear how an earthquake changed his perspective on life and taught him the true meaning. This one has a little bit of everything. I hope everyone enjoys.
You are now tuned into This Korean Life with your hosts, Brian and Nate.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Joining us today is the one and only, very special Avinas Chapagain. Welcome, my friend. We were lucky enough to have your dad on the podcast a little while back. We thought you're going to be a very interesting guest to have on. Welcome, man. Just from talking to you, you told me this is your second time in Korea visiting.
Yeah, second time.
How are you enjoying your stay?
I'm just chilling nowadays. I don't know what's the date or what's the time.
Yeah.
I don't know anything now.
A real vacation.
Yeah.
How long have you been back in town for?
In here in Korea?
Yeah.
It's been like 1 or 2 weeks.
And how much longer are you staying for?
1 or 2 weeks.
1 or 2, a full month vacation. Very nice.
No, it's not full month. 1 month.
Where you came in from? You flew in from Sydney. Is that right?
Yeah.
If you guys haven't put it together yet, Avinas' father is Binod. He was on season 1 of This Korean Life, and he was the owner and operator of the Nepalese restaurant here in Ulsan. And he told us he gave us his story, awesome story about his life and making it in Korea. Basically, Avinas is not you're not living in Nepal anymore. Now you're in Australia. What are you doing over there?
I'm just studying there. I'm studying IT over there.
What university are you going to?
I joined the TAFE before. I applied TAFE.
Where? TAFE?
TAFE, right.
What does it mean?
It's just the name of college. TAFE. And
Mm-hmm.
later on, I left that college and went to the local college, APIC.
So you spent a little bit of time at the first one, then you transferred?
Yeah, after 6 months, because it's hard to study there 5 days, and I have to work to earn my college fees. and it would be very hard. Then I applied.
So what is the difference between the two colleges?
Actually, the first college, it was good. They give more priority to the first college, certificate of the first college. But to sustain life, you have to do something. You have to modify something, you know.
So the main reason for leaving was because I believe your college now is only 3 days a week?
2 days, actually.
2 days studying?
Yeah.
Wow. Is that really... What kind of credit do you get for that? I wish it was only 2 days when I went. Jeez, I thought 5 days was standard.
Well, not if it depends on your schedule. If you have two full days of study.
2 full days, right.
Oh, okay. So he's doing 2 full days of study, and that just frees up. I mean, when I went to school, it was 15 hours per week, but it was 4 one day, 2 hours another day, and like that, right?
So what do? You said the reason for moving was so that you could work?
Yeah, I could work more.
So how did you choose to go there then, not knowing if you could even get a part-time job or not? What was your decision making? I remember when you came the first time, and your father had asked me to kind of mentor you and see if we could find a way for you to get into where I was working at the time, the National Institute of Science and Technology. And he was kind of pushing for that. How did you end up in Australia?
Australia? Actually, I wanted to study in Korea, in Ulsan. I went to the Ulsan University in Ulsan. But there is a bit of a language problem. One of my friends, he was studying here in a university, but you have to study 1 year the Korean language. It would be very hard. I had already lost my 1 or 2 years in Nepal studying different subjects and lots of things over there, and that's why I went back to the Nepal and I applied. Actually, first I applied US, and I didn't went to give an interview, and then after I applied Australia, and then I went to Australia.
You applied directly to the college, or you were just applying for a student visa, or?
Student visa, but we have to pay the college fees first for the 6 months, and then they grant me visa. Then after that, I went out there.
So what happened? The main reason for not staying in Korea was the language barrier?
The language barrier, yeah.
Did you said you felt that you wasted 2 years of studying of studying what were you?
After high school,
He was studying Kingfisher beer.
No, not the Kingfisher. I studied photography and videography over there. It was first of all, my parents, they were forcing me, not forcing, they're advising me.
Strongly advising?
Yeah, strongly advising me to study doctor or engineer, something like that. I studied science in a high school. I chose physics, chemistry and biology, something like that. I studied. And then after that, I had to choose something. But I don't know what to choose and what
photography.
To do. Yeah.
a natural path.
Yeah.
Is there, you said that you felt like you wasted the 2 years. Is there the feeling in Nepal for your generation, like, oh, I need to finish school, I need to get into university, finish my university, get a job, buy a house? Is there that internal kind of anxiety that you need to follow a strict timeline like we have in Canada?
Yeah. It's something like that, but not always. Like most of them, the father, if they earn the money, then everybody, all the neighborhoods, they think that the guy, his father is a rich man. He don't have to do anything now.
So is that your father or no?
No, they used to tell me. Even now they are telling me, if I do anything, then the credit doesn't go to me. My credit goes to my father. They think that his father is, that's why he's doing that. You getting me?
Yeah.
The reason you're in Australia is because of your father. But that's pretty much true.
Right. That's right. But
so anything, okay. So if you did go on to become a doctor, it's because of your dad, regardless.
So then, what do they think about your father then? Because your grandfather he runs a grocery store. Is that right?
Before, yeah.
Before.
He used to sell the ticket in the movies ticket. And later on.
So do they think that's why your father is international entrepreneur now, because your grandfather was a grocery store operator?
Not like that.
Sometimes it changes.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get back to the college in Australia after. You're from Kathmandu, right?
Yeah, Kathmandu.
what is it like growing up in Kathmandu? And I've been all over in Nepal, so I've seen a lot of the country. Beautiful, beautiful place. But what about you growing up? And do you know mostly Kathmandu life, or do you know a lot of the life outside of there? Have you visited other parts of the country? What is big city life like in Kathmandu? And tell us a little bit about Nepal.
I'll start with the casting, okay? Before I born.
Okay, yeah, I know that I am familiar with the Indian casting system, but I didn't notice it being very strict in Nepal when I was there.
Okay, I'll start with the casting. My father and my mother. My father, I think they got married at 18 to 20 years old. They got married. After 1 year, I came on the earth. Okay, that's it. And
I came out.
I came on earth.
Yeah.
I was born.
I was born. Yeah. Sorry for that. I was born. And then my mother, she didn't know she was pregnant, and they took my mom to the hospital. They used to carry it looks like you know how they carry a grass.
Yeah,
you know?
like a kind of version of a backpack, traditional
They
backpack.
carried it to the hospital, and
They carried your mom to the hospital?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about your mom
Wow.
carried you home to the
No,
from
not
the
me,
hospital.
not me.
Oh.
And she
Kathmandu.
didn't know she was pregnant, and the doctor told she was pregnant. After 2 days, she gave
Birth.
birth to me. And
Well, it's funny you say that because there was a story in the news last week about a lady who had 10 minutes to prepare for birth. She went in with stomach pains and they told her she's going into labor and she had the baby 10 minutes later. It was just happened. I don't know what country it was in, but I just read it in the news last week. And then?
And then the doctor told, you are just, to my grandfather, he told, you are just a grandfather for 2 days. Because I was just 700 grams.
So you were born premature.
Yeah.
Pretty well, you came
I was
early,
born, say 7 months. In 7 months,
Okay.
not 9 months.
Yeah.
And my grandfather,
32 weeks.
he went and he told, I just became a grandfather for 2 days. That's it. The doctor told me I won't live for long. But later on, something like that.
They gave you a couple of masala injections.
Masala injections.
And that was it. You were good. Power up.
Yeah, that's why they named me Avinas.
The indestructible.
Indestructible.
Well, do names typically have a meaning in
every name? We had a 33 crore gods in our religion.
33 gods?
33
Yeah,
crore.
was it?
Crore. 33 crore.
Yeah.
A million.
Because I in our culture, I know we have baby book or baby name books, and you can look up what your name means, but I don't think many people choose the name based on the meaning of it. And these days, it seems like it's kind of just like trendy names and stuff, right? You can look up the top 10 boy names, top 10 girl names. But in Korea, everybody's name has a significant meaning. Flowering lotus dragon. They get all kinds of funny ones, and they always say, "What does your name mean?" And I say,
But they
I don't
change
know.
it. They choose the Korean characters based on the Chinese.
The
character,
Chinese,
right?
yeah.
And each Chinese character can have several meanings. So it's always interesting to me to ask people what their Chinese name means.
And they tell us something like you, indestructible being, or. But the funny one to me is how many Koreans change their name. Their mother, father, grandmother, grandfather spent time and energy and effort and money to figure out what's the perfect name for this new child coming into the world. And then once they, get into their elder years or getting older, once they get through school, a whole bunch of them change their names. Yeah. And I thought, well, isn't that weird? Your parents spent so much time and effort to do it, and then poof, you just say, "Mom, I changed my name. I didn't like that one." So,
but I think they associate that with luck or with fortune, right? With their name. So maybe if my name was Unbreakable.
Indestructible.
Indestructible. If my name was Indestructible, I wouldn't be touching that one.
But I don't know what the guy's name means, Kim Kil-tae, but he was a serial murderer, a mass murderer here. And because there's only so many names in Korean, a lot of them are common names. Yeah. So any of the people who had sons named Kim Kil-tae, they changed his name because now that name was a serial killer, and they didn't want their boys being, bugged or harassed or recognized or known with the same name as the crazy guy. So they all changed their kids' names after that. But anyways.
I always wonder. Sorry, just on a tangent. How do you introduce that to your friend? Can you imagine you've known Nate for 3 years? Imagine next time you meet him, he goes, call me Steve. You know, it'd be weird. And how do you? I couldn't take you seriously. I guess that's a. If you told me from today, start calling me Steve, I don't know if I could do it.
Well, I don't think so. I've had students in the past that tell me my name changed from Subin to Hezong. And I said, well, I've known you for 3 years as Subin. I don't know how. I'm sorry, but if I call you Subin, it's a mistake, but it's going to be really difficult for me to change.
Yeah, it's hard to introduce. How do I tell in front of every teacher and students and go, my name is Indestructible.
Yeah. And then you're sick tomorrow.
Yeah.
What, so you were going to say about the caste system?
Caste systems?
Casting?
Casting, yeah, that's it. Me, my father, my mother, my grandfather, and then...
Okay, I thought you were going to... In India, they have the very strict caste system.
Caste system.
Right? You're from which caste?
You're talking about the caste.
Yeah, I thought that's what you were going to tell me about.
No, I was just telling C-A-S-T, caste. Casting, you do it before in movies.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. That's what I was. You're giving all the
casting.
The people. That was my original. That's what I thought you were talking about. And then Nate hinted towards the caste system, and I thought,
well,
I thought he's gonna lay out the characters in the story.
Yeah. Okay. I spent a long time. I spent 6 months in India and over a month in Nepal, and I got very, very familiar with the caste system. Yeah. But does that exist in Nepal or no?
It exists. It is still existing.
But not as strict as in India.
Not as strict as in India.
In India, the lowest of the lowest castes. Yeah. Do you know what their job was?
It's same like that in Nepal as well.
But what is the job for the lowest of the lowest castes?
Like playing in Nepal, lowest and the lowest. Someone they do sharpening the tools.
Sharpening the tools.
Yeah, tools, everything.
Well, that would be a dream in India, I think.
Dream in India.
Well, what I learned when I was there was the guys, you know, the Ganges.
Ganges, yeah.
The guys who were sifting ashes in Varanasi at the burning ghats. I said, who stands in the Ganges all day sifting ashes of corpses and pulling out all the bangles and the gold and the jewelry and giving them to the boss?
Yeah.
But they stand in waist-deep water in the Ganges with wicker baskets sifting dead people's ashes. And they told me that was reserved for the lowest of the lowest castes in India.
Yeah, in Nepal as well. Have you been to Pashupatinath before?
I don't recall that, but
they checked my Pashupatinath on the way.
Like it's in a World Heritage Site, Pashupatinath, and they burn the corpses. Yeah, they burn the bodies over there after they're dead, and the same like you told.
Yeah.
Like they take out all the bangles and everything.
Yeah, the jewelry, earrings, gold. Yeah.
Because it's nearby the Holy River.
Right.
It's nearby the Holy River, and people thought it's it's like a blessing when you go inside, when you put your head inside the Holy River and put the water, something like that, and put it on.
Yeah, but I was scared of dying when I was at the Ganges, of getting infected by putting my head or anything in my toe in the water.
It's like that now, but it was not like that before. Like
I was there 10 years ago, and there was a guy washing his motorcycle, a lady washing her dishes, another mother washing her baby, somebody else washing their clothes, all in the same 5 meters.
Yeah.
I'm rinsing off my motorcycle, and you're using that water to wash your dishes. And not only that, there's some sacred things, right? Like they don't burn cows.
They don't burn cows.
The cows are just thrown right in the river.
Yeah.
Children are considered pure and innocent.
Yeah.
They haven't committed any sins, so they go straight in.
They go straight.
And what are they called? Who are the guys called? The Ashwarma, the guys. The praying guys, no?
The priest.
They don't get burned either. Anyways, so there's a group of there's certain groups that don't get burned or cremated.
You said they don't cremate the cows; they just throw them in the
they don't burn something like that, but they put in cremate. You know how the Christian put their bodies under the land.
But we saw cows and goats in the river.
Thrown in the river.
Yes.
That's first time.
So you take a tour of the Ganges, up and down the Ganges, and the guy was showing you, "Ooh, what's that?" That's a cow, and those are sacred, so they're not disposed of or burned. So they're put in the river because this is the holiest river in the world. But I understand back when I was around 2000, I want to say 2008, they had a major problem with the decomposition of bodies and animals and stuff in the river. So UN had tried to it was becoming a health hazard. And so many people go there just to, like the Mecca and Medina of the Hindi culture, they go there just to take a swim, dunk in, just to get in the holy water. But so many people were getting sick and disease and whatever. So they put in, I don't know how many, meat-eating piranhas. Yeah, do you know piranhas?
Piranhas, I know.
They put them in and they all died.
They all died?
So they thought that would help with the decomposition of all these things in the river. They introduced them as a project to see if this could help or speed up the decomposition and the flow of the river. And all the piranhas died. So I was scared to see all those people, not scared, but I just thought, wow, it seems so dirty and not pure and holy. All these things in there. Wow. I couldn't believe it.
Like, it was not like that before 100 years.
Oh, sure. I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And they are just following the religions and the culture that they handed from their ancestors and like that. Like, nearby my town, in Nepal, there was one river. And we used to ride a bike over there before because we didn't have a breeze.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to school, when I was going to school, we used to ride a bike there with my father. But later on, after 7 or 8 years, it was so much polluted that you can't even touch that water.
Well, it's the same. Wow. That's the same in our city here in Ulsan. After the companies or the factories, whatever, started mass producing or running at full capacity, they polluted the Tewa River that runs through our city before they did the revitalization project. But it's the same.
But in Nepal, it's not all about the industries, and because they don't have a lots of industries, main thing is the people.
Yeah.
People, they are not being aware.
But there's two really good guys in India right now. One of them just finished cleaning up the beach.
Yeah.
I think it was in, I want to say it was in Mumbai, but I'm not sure. But that whole beach was like 5 kilometers of garbage. And I think it was like 17 million pounds or something. And over the span of 2 or 3 years, it's completely cleaned up and it's beautiful now. And now I just watched that he's starting a project on a stretch of the river. And it's 17 kilometers of river that the water doesn't move. It's just
plastic bottles,
just all plastic and garbage. But like you said, the river here it's been probably 10 years of revitalization, and now the salmon have come back for the salmon run. There's fish. It's beautiful now, so it's definitely doable. So where do you fall in the caste system in Nepal? Are you at the top, bottom, middle?
At the top.
You're at the top?
Yeah, I'm lucky one.
Oh, no way.
What are the benefits of being at the top? How does it affect your life?
Hold on. Aren't you like if you're born? Can you move positions on the caste system?
No, you can't.
I think not traditionally, but I think now it's.
But you can come down. You cannot move up, but you can come down.
So what if I mean?
But I think there's a couple famous cases in India where somebody from an upper caste has married someone from a lower caste, and
it happens. Actually, the caste system they made it like this: Brahmin, Vaishyas, Sudras, and one of that I forget that. Brahmin, Vaishyas, Sudras. The Brahmin, there was one story in in our culture. That's a real story. Like the god Krishna. You know Krishna?
Yes.
Yeah. It was the time of a punishment, and the Krishna he had to give the 4 people who had done sins. He had to give the punishment, but he gave the more than 5 years prison to the first the Brahmin. For the top one, he gave more than 5 years prison, and the second one he just gave 3 years prison, and the third one he gave just 1 year prison. And they asked why different types of the why different type of punishment for the same sins.
Right.
And he told me because the Brahmin, he's the top one. He know everything. What is good, what is bad. Even that, then he do that sins.
More punishment.
And the second one is he's little illiterate. And he don't know what to do. He don't know the good and bad things.
So can't blame him so much. Yeah,
it's like
interesting.
And what is it? Is it strictly monetary that is it strictly money that separates the caste?
Not the money.
The money?
Only the ancestors.
Only the ancestors?
Not the money. If you earn money, you can't.
You can't move up.
Move up.
Oh, okay. I thought if a Sudra had say $10 in 2007 and bought Bitcoin. And then in 2018 they sold the Bitcoin, and now suddenly they jump up and they're Brahmas. It's
No.
not okay. It depends totally
Yeah,
on your
depends upon
ancestral line.
on the ancestor. The main reason they are becoming poor is they are just following their ancestors. They are not upgrading their lifestyles themselves. You know. They are-
But I
they
think,
have a
I
different
mean,
profession.
but that in some ways can be indirectly related to the first or upper class, middle class, lower class in our cultures, where the lower class the schools aren't as good, the education's not as good, the opportunities are not as good, and therefore it's hard for them to move up.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any interest in people in general wanting to help. Wanting to help someone lower. I mean, look at the education system in the States or the problem neighborhoods, man. That's the same. It's the same stuff over and over, decade after decade of the same crime, the same problems, but no one's doing anything to help.
So if you're going to date a girl in Nepal, do you have to ask what her caste is first, like, or her family name, or how do you? Is that play a factor, or no? Or you say, "Dad, I'm getting married." He says, "What caste is she from?" I forgot to ask.
It happened. It happened to me, and it have a very bad effect in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us.
It's the main cause that why I first came.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, why I came to Korea and why I went to Australia.
What happened? Can you share that story?
Yeah, sure. When I was in high school, I'm a very decent guy. The teacher, if they have to give an example,
Decent sounds like maybe you weren't decent.
He explained to me before we started that decent. He translated it as the opposite of like what was the? He said like he's not a bad guy. You said
not the bad guy. That's a decent. That's
a good guy.
Good guy, honest and everything. You know, don't talk much.
Oh, sorry. I think the word he used was dishonest. I'm not a dishonest guy. I'm a decent guy.
Decent guy.
Yeah.
And
Straight shooter.
No one thought that I would make a girlfriend. You know, it's
because you're a decent guy.
Too much decent. Too much.
Too much. So decent means pure.
It's kind of
too decent.
Too much decent. And then when I was in high school, my friend, I used to call him Kaka. Kaka means it's uncle in our name. And he had I'm sorry, Kaka. And he introduced me first with his girlfriend. Not the girlfriend, but the friends type of girl.
Yeah.
And
friend who's a girl.
Yeah, but he told me that he loved that girl.
Your uncle told you he loved that girl?
Just in a relation, he's uncle, but we are friends. Just
So
in a relation.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, we study in the same class. And then the girl, she was very white. I'm a black guy.
Huh?
I'm a black guy actually.
You look brown to me.
Yeah. Look brown. But everybody called me black.
Huh.
In Nepal, my mom, my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the girl, everyone can notice that girl, you know, because she was very white. And in our school, everyone is brown and black, something like that.
So white is good, sought after. White is a good thing, or
good thing. Okay. Why bad? White is
well, in our culture, I'm already brown from my summer tan. I mean, this is not. Yeah, look at this.
If white is good, brown is too good.
Yeah. I like it.
And then actually the Kaka, my friend, he fell in love with that girl, and he used to share me everything because we were very best friends, something like that. Best friends, not something like that. We were best friends, and he used to share everything. But he was a kind of intelligent guy, but he don't want to mess up his study with something, some other thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. If he's distracted with a girlfriend, then he's going to lose focus on his studies and
something like that.
Yeah.
And then he told me he used to share everything, and he asked me for an idea how to impress her, how to do like that, and one day we went to what do you say, the giant wheel,
Ferris wheel.
Ferris wheel. Yeah, we went there, and there were a couple. She went with my Kaka, and everybody went, but I was alone. And another girl, she told me, "Don't worry about that. I will give support to you. I'll give
I will give support to you."
Wrong word. And we went to a giant wheel. That was the first time I walked with a girl in my life. I was feeling.
How old are you? How old is this?
This is 4 years.
4 years ago?
Yeah, 4 years.
So how old were you?
19.
19. That time I feel so
Very decent guy.
very decent guy. That's why I feel so awkward. So
Yeah.
you know, it feels like. Have you played that?
The sea dragon.
Yeah.
You get
Something
butterflies.
Like, what do you feel when you come down
Yeah,
from?
you
the
get
roller
butterflies.
coasters,
You
yeah.
get butterflies in your stomach.
Yeah, it feels like that.
So what happened?
I don't know what happened.
I blacked out.
Blacked out. Yeah, I was just.
So the
looking
girl
around.
giving you support was from a different caste, or
The cast, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what cast. It's just the feeling, what you have a butterfly effect or something like that. And then later on, she didn't join me up. Only that day was the last day. That was the last day, first and last day for me. And her house was nearby the Kaka's
Girlfriend's house.
Yeah. And Kaka used to share me everything. And one day he told me we have to get some birthday gift for her. And he didn't know what to take and everything, and I went him and packed up all the things and messed up the gifts, flower something like that. We made up something, and we went to her house. She was upstairs. It was the first time we went to her house, and Kaka, he told me, I'm very afraid, I can't do it, you just go and give a gift to her and come back. I went up, and her mom and she was talking in the kitchen. They hadn't noticed I was there. I waited for 5 minutes.
you didn't knock on the door?
Never. I didn't notice that.
That's a decent guy style.
Is that standard practice or?
No, not the standard. I just wanted to give a surprise to her.
Surprise him in your house.
Yeah. And I waited for 5 minutes. and they didn't show up. I didn't knock. I was also very afraid.
And they didn't notice you?
They didn't notice me.
Uh-huh.
And I left that gift in the show rack. And I came outside. And when we were about to go, her mother, she noticed us. And she gave a hi to me. And when we see her in the window, and we live in a bike. Boom, boom.
Motorcycle.
Yeah. And his girlfriend, Kaka's girlfriend, he called me. He called him and told, if you are not coming here, I won't accept that gift, because it had happened before. Because someone they put some kind of a spell, they believe that in a chocolate or something
black
like
magic,
that.
Black magic,
and they give it to her, and they try to we say them to make love.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah, sure.
And that's
Wow.
So then you said I got to go to Australia. Then this is too crazy.
No, not Australia. Then after that, slowly, she was falling in love with me. I didn't notice. Because every time
I didn't
You
notice.
put the black magic in there.
No. After that incident, every time we get together, she used to call me because she couldn't handle Kaka, his boyfriend, because he was too hard and he don't have a soft voice.
Yeah.
Not like you.
Yeah.
You have soft voice. She was falling in love with me, but I didn't notice. And the Kaka, he always tried to take me with him if he wanted to do something.
So hard for either of you to become close with the girl, because you guys are close together. And so what was the final outcome?
We fell in love, and she used to come at my home sometimes.
So Kaka doesn't like you anymore?
No, he didn't know till now.
This is
He don't
breaking.
But
So are you still dating her now?
No, she's in Australia.
She's in Australia?
Yeah.
Is that the girl on the motorcycle?
But are you a couple now?
No.
Oh, now it's finished.
No, there is a different story I'm telling you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then
Oh shit, this is why you're in Australia.
no, that's not the main reason actually. And then she fell in love with me, and I started realize we fell in love. We used to avoid the way that is in a Kaka home.
Yeah.
We used to come
Roundabout way.
Yeah, round other way. One day, Kaka told me, Avi, he called me Bhatiz in a relation. Bhatiz, today I proposed to her. No. Yeah. After that moment, after 1 hour, she called me and she asked me, Kaka proposed me. What should I do now? She was asking advice from me.
This sounds like Jerry Springer.
Then only I realized, I think something is wrong. with Kaka and something is wrong with her, because she don't have to take advice from me to apply that.
If
And
it's
then-
Jerry Springer, Kaka is a transgender.
Not like that. And I told her, as a friend, I can't tell Kaka is a bad guy. Kaka is very good guy. I can't tell he's a bad guy as well. It's up to you. You take your decision. And she have never replied that answer to Kaka, and he is waiting for that reply till now.
But she's in Australia with you.
Not with me. She's in a Perth, I'm in Sydney. And then I fell in love with deep love, everything. Okay, I skip everything. One day she came with me. I told my mom I love her like my sister. Actually, I used to help her everything, and I used to feel her like my sister, like my own sister. And I told my mom she's like my sisters, and my family, they used to invite in every festivals, and she used to come. We had everything. She gifted me a puppy. She gifted me all the things around my room and my home. It was like her gift. One day, I don't know how did I tell to my parents. I told I love her.
So they think you're going to get married?
Just listen. And my first reaction of my grandfather was, he started laughing. He's joking. This guy is joking. He can never love. And then my uncle, he also came in the room, and he also started laughing, and he told, "You are joking. That's not true. Tell me that's not true." And then my mom, she came, and my father, he was in Korea, and everybody used to blame my father, because he always used to tell me, at your age I have 4 or 5 girlfriends, why don't you make any girlfriends? And my father, my grandfather, everyone blamed my father. It's all because of you. You know why they were very sad because of that thing? Because her caste is a little low caste. My grandfather, he was...
How do they know her caste?
With the
Cast
surname.
Surname?
Yeah.
Just from the name?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
With surname, they know the caste.
So they weren't saying you're joking. That's their way of saying don't do it.
Just little, yeah. They was doing... From that day, everything is messed up. My family's, everyone, they told me, you are not going to school now. You are not going to college now. When I used to go college, one day, first of all, I go to meet her, and then I go college, and I come back home. One day, even Saturday and Sunday, I went to college by mistake.
Yeah.
That sounds like us when there used to be a blizzard, sunny winter day in the city, and we'd call mom and say, "There's a blizzard. We got to sleep over in the city tonight."
And after that, that day, all blackout. From that day, they stopped me. They bought me a bike before. They told me, the bike is not yours now. You are not driving bike.
Who told you that? Your parents or your
Yeah,
family?
my parents.
Oh, so your parents were not happy
Yeah, my parents were not happy.
because she's from a lower caste.
From lower caste, yeah. And
Wow.
then, but not my father and mother. Main is my grandfather.
So yeah.
And then they didn't allow me to go college, because they knew if I go outside, I would meet her. And it happens. It actually happens, because
Wow.
the whole city,
Yeah.
there is one in Kathmandu. Most of milk distributor are from my neighborhood. Yeah, everywhere I walk, I used to be very careful if they are riding a motorcycle and watching me or not.
Yeah.
It happens. One time when I was riding
Well, it kind of sounds like Korea. I mean, my wife was marrying a Wigwigan was like a lower caste system here. So my father-in-law vehemently opposed her marrying me at the beginning. And now that we're married and now we get along very well, and I help him on the farm all the time. But I mean, I think it was the same thing. We would only go on dates in the countryside. We would never be seen in the city, because it could have some major negative effects on her life and impacts on her life. But if her parents were around, we would go separate ways, and we'd walk around a building, around the other side of the beach, wherever we were, just to avoid people seeing us together, because it could make some major impacts on her life if it didn't work out and get married. So
it's good you had a love that time.
So that's one thing that I always give our wives credit for, is that they've gone against the traditions and culture of their country to marry us, that tells me any woman who's married a foreigner in Korea has a certain amount of
Open-mindedness.
open-mindedness and they're brave to some extent to challenge their cultural norms. So
Yeah.
My wife, if she hadn't met me, marrying a Korean wouldn't even be in the cards. She just couldn't imagine herself doing all of the traditional kind of, I don't know if you want to say submissive, but going to the in-laws' house. And
depending who you marry, it's changing a lot now, and it has changed. A lot of the guys have changed a lot, and they're not big fans of that stuff either. But yeah, traditionally the in-laws is not a fun place. And
yeah, she said she couldn't imagine doing that, and would have much rather just been lived a single life or hanging out with friends, kind of, doing it for herself. But
so your
anyways.
extended family or whatever, not your immediate family, they're kind of put the shackles on, and then you decided, I'm out of here?
No. I decided I would stay in Nepal because she applied for the US, but she didn't pass the interview, and I did everything for that. And
How did you guys stay in contact without meeting? You can use your phones and
sometimes phone, and we used to just call only the 12 at night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Did your grandfather say, listen, this is not okay because she's from a lower caste, or did you just figure that out, or how did you know?
Before everyone is happy, nobody knew that we are in love, and everything was good.
Yeah.
But the time they know we are in love, then they were very disappointed, because my mother was disappointed because I told her that I love her like a sister, but now you are telling you love her like a
lover.
Yeah.
Ah.
My mother was disappointed by that, but my father, my father, my uncle, my grandfather, they were very happy that I made a girlfriend. First. First 1 minute.
And then
the first 1 minute. They were happy for that.
Congratulations! What's her name?
Congratulations.
What's her name? All right, finish that. Interesting.
So is that still common these days? Is that still very prominent in the Nepalese culture?
Not now.
Only 4 years ago?
Yeah.
And now it's all
Only 4
changed?
years ago now everything changed. Now everything changed because of the US and America.
Why?
Because of the Western culture.
The influence in Nepal?
Yeah. They never had. They had never thought they would be in a living relationship. Now most of the people, they are staying in a living relationship in Australia and
Many other countries.
yeah, like that. Then after that, I had different kind of stress. I stayed there for 2 years, and I didn't notice that I had a gastric before, but later, slowly, I had an ulcer. I know what's the reason for that. I know from inside. It's because of I can't forget her, and we used to talk like that. I have different kind of imaginations and something like that.
So that was a very stressful time for you.
Very stressful time. And then
So then you left, or she left first to Australia?
first of all, she left us to Australia.
So that's why you went there.
No,
Hey, something more.
something more.
I feel like I'm on the never-ending roller coaster.
She left to Australia. We used to be in contact for sometimes.
Give us the speed version,
Sweet
the
version.
quick
okay.
one. Not all. Just skip to the major points.
Okay. She went to Australia, and then I came Korea for the first time for the treatment of my ulcer.
Okay.
For the treatment of my ulcer, but psychologist told me, just chill out, don't take any kind of stress. There is nothing, any kind of ulcer. It's just your stress. The next day when I came out to Australia, second day, I started sleeping well. Everything is fine. I don't have to go hospital.
In Korea or Australia?
Yeah, in Korea.
Ah.
In Korea, I don't have to go hospital. But before I went Nepal, I went to the hospital because we have to. It's just for.
I think sometimes with stress or mental health, sometimes it's as simple as talking about it or just letting it out. When you keep everything bottled up, it really has an effect on you. But,
Sure.
But talking about it, letting out your feeling, and then like you said, even sometimes talking to a doctor one time, I feel like this. They put you at ease. They say, hey, don't worry, it's just stress. Then it clicks in your brain. Oh, it is just stress.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be okay, and then you can slowly.
It was a very hard time in Nepal that time. Too much. I used to wish if I could live like a normal people.
If you tell the Koreans this story, they're going to say it's because of the kimchi.
Because we came to
You came to Korea, you saw the kimchi, and it fixed you.
After I went back to Nepal, And then I went to Australia because I didn't get visa in
America.
I didn't want to go to Australia. And everyone thought that why I want to go Australia is because of her. But that was not the main reason. Because of I want to understand life. What is life? Because I have been feeling the whole 20 years, I'm always stuck in a girlfriend, going to school, coming back home, riding bike. That's it. Yeah. For more than 60 years, what I'll do? I didn't know.
But you never played soccer growing up? You never...
I played soccer.
You never helped Grandpa in the grocery store?
Everything. I did everything.
So it sounds like you had pretty full life.
No, but...
what was missing?
Lots of things was missing. Independent. I was not independent.
I
was
wonder,
dependent on my family.
Where does the... I wonder, I mean, where the feeling of I need more independence comes from. You know, I think if you grew up kind of in a bubble in Kathmandu, you would follow maybe your father's or your grandpa's way of life. What made you feel, again, like Nate said, it seems like you had a very full life and lots of different experiences. Being in the top caste, maybe more opportunity than other people. Where does that feeling of I need more, I want to experience more, where does that come from? Is that from watching Dad succeed internationally, or is that from Western influence? That you mentioned the Western influence, other than love culture. What other Western influences are there?
I like the dress up. Everyone now they're getting dressed up like Western K-pop.
The what?
Dress up.
Dress up.
The style, fashion.
Fashions. And even they're modifying the culture. Like they didn't used to do a baby shower before. And I noticed from last 2 years they have started baby shower.
Yeah.
Doing the photography. We had a different culture for that. We used to eat beaten rice and the yogurt and the relatives of the girl, they used to come in a home and make them eat and everything that they used to buy from the girl's home. But now they have started baby shower and clicking photos.
Baby showers. Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's just the market, right? Industry, money, chance to make some money, and people jump on it. If it catches on, then they got a good business.
Is that what I'm not? But what made you feel? Oh, I need to do more. Or what put what dropped that seed in your head? For me coming here, there was I had one buddy who was kind of pessimistic or negative about where we grew up, and I kind of took his negative idea and made it a positive, but. Until he told me one day, like, man, you got to really evaluate where we're living. Listen, I love my hometown, but he kind of planted that seed in my head, like, man, there's more to life. You can get out of here. Not again, grew up in a great city, got great buddies and family all around, but he's like, there's more to life. You need to get out and see more and do this. And until he planted that seed, I had never considered moving out of my city, never mind out of my country. And so what was it? What was the determining factor for you?
The main thing was...
it was the girl.
Yeah, it was a girl. It was a girl. Because she used to tell me, you are never being serious. Even now, she tell me when you get contact. She talk for 1 minute and then she understand I'm talking silly. And she caught the phone. You are never serious about life. You don't know what is life. And... another thing is my neighbors and my relatives. They told me you can't do anything. You are very lazy. I was so lazy when I was born. I used to sleep when I was in the shower as well.
Sleep when you're in the shower?
Yeah, I used to sleep like that. My mother used to slap me and take me out.
Just turn the water on cold, man. That'll wake you up.
Okay. So this is in the last couple of years? Like, well, you've been in Australia for 2 years, no?
Yeah, 2 years.
So when you're 18, 19, 20, they tell you you're lazy, you can't do anything, or?
Yeah. They told me you can't do anything, you are very lazy. One of my best friend in Nepal, he told me, you what you are now is everything because of your father.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do anything.
So that kind of inspires you to do something by yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what was it like when your father left to Korea the first time?
I didn't know.
You didn't know?
He left very early, and before he came after 5 years, and
He just disappeared one day and you didn't know what happened?
no, and we knew that he's going outside, but we haven't spent lots of time with the father. Me, my sister. The first time when he came back from Korea to Nepal, my sister, he asked my mother, please tell me when he came back, tell me who is my father.
Wow. How old was she when he left?
Maybe 8, 9.
8 or 9?
Years, yeah, maybe something.
So that wasn't a joke. That was serious? Maybe she wouldn't recognize him?
Yeah, she wouldn't recognize him.
Because he was working all the time, or?
Working all the time, always. Even now, he's still working.
Wow.
See, I like the difference in mindset from a Western culture, or it seems like the Nepalese culture, where dad can go out and work, and there's still how do you say, he's doing it for the family, and that's kind of an accepted thing.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if it's my own view, but I feel like if I'm not home, if I'm not home after work, or if I don't spend the weekends with the kid, I feel guilty. But I wonder, like, I think in the end, maybe when the kids grow older, I mean, if you were working afternoon shift, kids are at school, if you're working afternoons, I think at the time kids might think, well, I never see dad, but ideally, maybe, I mean, when you're 20 or 22, you can look back and you don't hate dad for leaving, or you look at him and go like, wow, man, he was doing this to support me, and right, there's the thankfulness after. But maybe getting through it at a young age might be
one funny thing is, when dad's friends they came to Nepal before, and he had lots of friends from church and every Korean friends, and it feels very excited when some white people come in our house, like tourists. Everyone in our village, they get gathered, and when they introduce, how my father told them, because he was just 20, if I'm 8, he may be 28 something years old. So I was 10 years, 14, 15 years old, and
your dad's only 18 years
only
older
20
than
years, 20 years older than me. And then he didn't introduce me as his son. He told that Korean guy that he had only one sister. One daughter. They introduced me as a cousin brother. His cousin brother.
Yeah, okay.
And my uncle and my another brother, they locked me inside the room.
Why?
So that I couldn't get to contact with them, because if I get contact with them, I told
That's my dad.
yeah, I told him that he's my dad, because he feel very shy, because
He's shy.
yeah, he's very shy that even he's 20 years old, he have a 8 years old son.
kid.
Yeah.
Is that common in Nepal or no?
It's common in Nepal.
But yeah, for the other, yeah.
No,
But I mean, my parents were married very young, and that was very,
My mom got married at 19.
yeah, that was very common many years ago, and now these developing countries, it's,
After that, for 1 year, I used to call my dad and, hello brother, how are you? I used to talk with him like that.
Well, when I came to Korea, I mean, so many people got married at 24, 25, 26, and now it's almost, 29, 30, 31, 32. So just in the time I've been here, it's changed so much. But yeah, I think that's the evolution of countries, and as they develop, that's, well,
I had a friend at home who had a child at, I want to say 17, 18. Even my brother, I think 23.
are those planned?
No.
Well, that's what I mean. But these guys get married and starting their family. I mean, that was a planned thing. So I think this a little bit different.
Thinking about the benefit, I mean, at that time we all looked at it as, oh my God, what a burden to have a child at such a young age. But now they're laughing.
Now you're 42 and you're free.
Their kids are in high school. Everything's good. Man. That's you put the work in early, and you can benefit later. Right?
So the first time he left, you didn't know, and what was that like?
It was like,
he was gone for 5 years.
It was like if some tourist came at home. He used to just visit for some days.
Yeah.
After 2 years, he come and he stay 15 days. 15 days, he used to stay 2 days at home and 10 days at Tamil, outside.
Yeah.
With the other Korean guys.
Yeah.
And he leave home, so like that.
Huh.
Cool.
So did you know what he was doing here? Did you always wonder? Did you say, I want to come and see you? Or
No.
what's going on there? No? So what about when you came the first time? What was that your first time out of Nepal? Had you traveled
that
before?
was my first time. No.
What was it like when you arrived in Korea the first time?
I thought actually the Kathmandu is the very small city of Nepal, and the Kathmandu is the very small city of Nepal.
Isn't it the biggest city?
No, very small.
Really?
Kathmandu, yeah.
How many people?
It's the second from I don't know the exact population. Kathmandu is very small city of Nepal, and the Nepal is very small, more than 23 times small than India.
Country, sure.
Yeah, it's country. And I thought if Kathmandu is too big for me when I come to the terrace and look out,
Yeah.
how big could the Korea could be?
Yeah.
How big the other country could be? And if I'm getting, I had an ulcer. I told you I had an ulcer before,
Yeah.
and it was very hard to eat something.
Yeah.
It was very hard.
Anything.
Yeah, anything. And I was eating a dinner, not the dinner. I was eating lunch, and somebody called me from the embassy, and it was very hard for me to eat. And they called me. They told me your visa has been granted, and now your visa has been granted.
Oh.
And I asked them thrice.
You sure?
I mean, I can go to Korea, right? And they told me, yeah, sure, you can go to Korea. Then, due to happiness, maybe after due to happiness, I couldn't anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
They're happy.
That's great.
So, but what about when you arrived here? Was it the shock that where did you arrive, in Incheon?
I arrived in Incheon.
Was it the shock that you thought you would get, or what? Was it like, wow, my country is very different, or this is, lots of similarities, or what was?
Technology. I always, for more than 2 days, for 1 day, he told me it's night here because we're underground in the Incheon. We travel on a train.
Yeah.
And later we travel on a KTX. He told me it's night over here, and I was shocked. How could it would be night?
Oh, it's so bright.
It's all bright and everything. And he told me we are all inside the underground. We were inside more than 1 or 2 hours. We were inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been very shocking.
Yeah.
Oh, so again, I've never been to Kathmandu, but at night it's dark. You look up, you can see the stars. You see, here. Good luck seeing the. Good luck seeing the stars from the light or the pollution.
What else hit you when you arrived here? That, and what were some of the other things that stood out or that you remember as being very different?
The main thing is I feel very relaxed. I didn't have any kind of ulcer, no disease, nothing else. Main thing was that.
That was the kimchi hit you as soon as you landed. You got that kimchi cured it.
That was the kimchi. That's why I always remember Korea.
Cool.
And for 1 month, I stayed here. I've never traveled alone. And then I started traveling alone here. And Dad gave me his car. I had a freedom to use money.
Yeah, awesome.
What about the people, the culture, the food? If you've only eaten Nepalese/Indian food for 20 years,
He used to take me.
It must be a huge shock to your system, no?
Yeah, huge shock. And he'd take me to the Korean shop. You have to eat everything. You have to try everything. You have to get experience of everything. And after every sip of drinks and every sip of and every bite of kimchi and everything, it wasn't good for me. The taste was not good for me. And he looked to my eye and he told me, "Is it good?" And I. Yes.
Yeah, wow.
That's funny. That's what your dad told us when he got to the factory the first time. Yeah. Listen, I just did a quick check. Kathmandu, 1.5 million, roughly. The biggest city in Nepal.
Biggest city?
Yeah.
No.
Pokhara, second biggest, 200,000. Patan.
No.
Are you talking about size, land size or population?
Land size.
Oh, land size, dude. Not
okay.
population.
You're going on population.
Yeah.
No, not population.
Okay.
Now population, it's a big.
Yeah. But even 1.5 million in Korea is not very big. In the rest of Asia, China, Japan, Korea, we're talking 15, 20, 30, 40 million people in some of these Chinese cities, and Seoul, if you count the greater Seoul. So huge places.
I asked earlier about the Western influences in Nepal. Yeah. Is there any Asian influence? Last time your dad was here, he said he has the international school, but he also has the private academy that teaches Korean language.
Is the Korean culture, Japanese culture permeating your?
He said now they're dressing like K-pop gangsters now.
Not the K-pop. My sister she's a very big fan of BTS.
Oh yeah, they're world stars. But is there any going around? Is there Korean restaurants or?
I don't think there are lots of. Only in
do people
some
watch
places.
Korean drama on TV?
Yeah, they watch Korean drama. The Nepal people, they are very crazy of the Korean dress up and everything. That's why my father is he had started a business of Korean shop. Fashion shop actually.
Right. Yes.
Because there is a lot of very craze of Korean dramas.
Right.
Yeah.
They used to wear the Korean t-shirts.
Yes.
With the Korean guys picture.
Yeah.
Over here. Yeah. And
I was going to say I'd be more surprised if it wasn't popular there because, I mean, now you can go anywhere in the world and it's like when I was all over Africa and well anywhere in Africa, everybody knew the Nigerian films. Everybody knew it. And this was years and years ago when, there wasn't, internet was dial-up still, and it was only the richest people who had dial-up when I was there. But the Nigerian movies were bootlegged all over the continent. Everybody knew Nigerian movies. But it seems now like the Korean dramas, I just saw a funny one on TV the other day advertising a program, and they were in Uganda. And the guy had asked them, do you know anything about Korea? And they started listing off all the drama stars and music stars, and the guy was shocked at how much they knew about Korean culture, and they were a couple old ladies farming in the middle of Uganda. And these days I think they've done such a good job of exporting that Hallyu culture. It's everywhere.
A shock to me when I was, that's probably 8 years ago maybe, when I was training in Samui. When I went to the gym, before I got to my final gym, we were training in like a temple kind of thing while the gym was being built. Finally, we moved into the new gym, and they turned on hey, we got the new music system in, and they turned it on. And dude, they were playing K-pop for the first 3 days. I went, I just left Korea, man. I want to listen to something else, And all of the trainers and the trainers' wives, Brian, you're from Korea. Did you see Momomo drop? No, I didn't see that. Oh my God! And they were so into it. That was like a regular around. You're eating lunch, and that's what they were discussing. Man, it was wild.
Well, when I was living in Ghana, West Africa, there, and the funniest ones that I'll never forget is these guys would finish working out with cinder blocks and tree logs, and they'd get in their car and they'd say, "Hey, I'm going here," or they're driving a taxi as their part-time job. And they would turn on the thing and they would start blasting Celine Dion. And I thought that was the funniest thing ever. These big, strong guys, and they're kind of tough, and they want this tough guy image, and they get in their car and they blast Celine Dion. I thought, wow, if the African American or African Canadian guys at home, who play the role, if they could see these guys, no Tupac, no Snoop Dogg, I mean Celine Dion, and I went, it just blew my mind. But even here, man, you hear Bryan Adams in the taxis and Mariah Carey, and I go, really? A 60-year-old, Korean grandpa likes Bryan Adams? So yeah, it's funny, man. But
that's awesome.
I'd be surprised now. Even the lady at the baseball game last night, Brian and I were at, and she goes, "Oh, I'm LA Dodgers, Yu Hyunjin." And before he went there, she had no idea who the LA Dodgers were, but. Yeah, slowly the Koreans are excelling in different parts and different fields, and they've really done a really good job of, penetrating the foreign cultures and injecting a little bit of Korean.
Yeah, even in Australia, there are lots of Korean now.
Oh, sure.
My every owner, my every manager, they are Korean. Even now, the world.
Really?
Yeah, every manager, they are Korean.
Jesus.
Wow.
The growing up, again, now that Koreans are making their way, or you have some Western influence, some Korean or some Asian influence. When you were young, maybe like you said, now everyone looks up to BTS, or they're the cool guys on the block. Who were your role models growing up? Were they Nepalese? Were you watching Hollywood movies, thinking
Bollywood?
Okay, yeah, no, but I was gonna say
clearly he's never been to that region.
We grew up watching Sylvester Stallone or Schwarzenegger, dreaming of being the hero or playing the hero role. What about for you guys growing up? Did you idolize sports stars, or were they Hollywood actors? Were they?
Sorry, let me just interject one. Did you watch a lot of Bollywood movies?
Yeah.
Did you ever see me?
No.
I was in a movie in New Delhi called Colors of Passion.
Oh,
I was an extra.
New Delhi,
Bombay,
Bombay.
right? Mumbai was where the bombings were?
No, you.
Cafe Leopold. No, in Mumbai was where the bombings were, the terrorist bombings.
Oh yeah.
Listen,
yeah.
before
And that's where they used to get all the extras from. And I read it in the guidebook and I stayed there. And sure enough, we got asked by 3 or 4 different people to come and be extras. And then they drive you outside of Mumbai and you go. And I was a police sheriff. And none of the costumes would fit me was the problem.
listen.
The movie's called Colors of Passion.
Listen,
Colors of Passion?
before you came, he was telling me that growing up, we started talking about the education, and he said there was a lack of sex education, and he thought on some level that porn was illegal in the world. So there's almost zero chance of him watching your movie Colors of Passion with you being the.
This was an old movie. It was a British. I think when the British had come to India.
Yeah.
And I went from being a sheriff riding a horse. The costume wasn't big enough to becoming a merchant.
Riding you.
A merchant in the market or something. So, but yeah, I spent 3 days there as an extra making a movie called Colors of Passion for
I will watch it now.
for the Bollywood. Yeah.
Colors of Passion.
Colors of Passion.
Anyways, back to
on the
the.
resume.
I just thought maybe he's gonna say Nate was one of my role models if he saw me in the movie.
Obviously, I'll say.
Guy getting
Maybe
killed
I'll
by
try
a horse. Anyways, back to your role models or who?
My role models. I don't say the role models, but I always look forward to be a Bollywood hero, Salman Khan. You know Salman Khan?
Yeah,
You know,
very
The
famous.
3 Khans, Salman, Shah Rukh Khan. You know the recent movies? Yesterday, it was released yesterday, Bharat, the movie.
Borat, I know Borat.
Bharat.
No.
Bharat.
Nate, actually,
No, I don't follow Bollywood movies that much. No,
Nate wore Borat's. Nate was wearing Borat's
bathing suit last week at the water park.
No, dude, you were wearing that in Colors of Passion. One of the Colors of Passion.
No,
was
when I was there, I followed and got to know a lot of the actors, and because it's huge, it's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the posters, the it's huge, and I really learned a lot while I was in that region. But no, these days, I mean, I don't follow it, so I don't know about this new movie.
Maybe you'll feel lucky to be an actor in Hollywood, but you won't feel lucky to be an actor in Bollywood. Even if you are walking in a street, thousands of people there following you and grabbing your car and everything. You feel like someone trying to kill you.
Yeah. That used to kind of. I can't imagine walking around in India, but walking around here, it was so strange for me. I mean, coming from Canada, where I'm just the average guy with a shaved head and just jacked muscles. No, I'm just the average guy walking down the street. But when you come here, people look or come and talk to you, and then you feel special at first. You go through a period where you feel like, oh, this is annoying, but you come to accept it. But I couldn't imagine doing it, walking downtown.
You would be celebrity, very big celebrity if you walk down for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They would think the Vin Diesel has lost his weight.
Nice.
So if not any famous, did you look up to your father a lot, or uncles, or like I said, there's no cricket stars or anybody that you looked up to?
I don't like cricket.
No.
Cricket is a foolish game for me. Watched by the foolish person and played by the most foolish person.
Oh, not making friends with that statement.
just for me. You
Of
know
course,
why?
yeah.
You know why? Because if they hit the ball, we can't see the ball. In a camera, they have to show the ball. Even if they are showing in a camera, moving camera, we have to spot that ball. Where is that ball? Okay.
Yeah.
The watching is very foolish.
So
I always wondered when I think about sport, I always think with a martial arts background, I always think intensity and endurance, and it's a fixed period of time where you're giving your all, and then the game is over. But I always found it funny that cricket lasts for. I'm not knocking it, but cricket, one game can
hours,
last
days, weeks.
Yeah, can last for 3 days, and they play a little bit, stop for tea, have a little sandwich, and then they resume the.
Okay, your dad mentioned an interesting point to me. I'm curious to hear your take on it. Leaving Nepal, coming to Korea the first time was a big eye opener.
Yeah.
What was it like when you arrived in Australia? wow, this is the same as Korea, or was that another big eye opener for you?
Till month, I thought Korea is far much better than Australia, because it was a very big relief land for me after I had an ulcer. That's why when I went to Australia, it was normal, because I stayed with my cousin brother over there in a family. We have 8 members in a family over there.
And they're all Nepalese?
Yeah, all Nepalese.
Is Kaka there too?
It's all relatives. What?
Is Kaka there?
Kaka, yeah. No.
Oh, he's not there. Okay.
Not the Kaka.
Wow.
And then I hadn't worked. I hadn't any job before in Nepal. Slowly, I started working in a truck. Yeah, I used to deliver egg in the
In
whole
Nepal
city,
or in-
in city, so Australia.
Yeah, in Sydney, okay.
And then I joined in a
Your job was delivering eggs?
first. The
Cool.
first job was delivering eggs. Another job was cleaning. I'm still working in that aged care. And the third job was
Which aged care?
aged care.
Like old
Clinic.
folks home?
They had a spinal cord injury, and working,
So are they all paralyzed?
yeah, all paralyzed.
Ah.
I used to do cleaning there. And the third job was kitchen hand in the Italian restaurant.
Spicing my meatballs with the masala.
These meatballs taste like masala.
After I worked there for 1 month, I never went to a restaurant. Like I used to do a kitchen hand. 5 o'clock my work starts, and till 12:30, I just do the kitchen hand, doing hose, boom, 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 boom. I don't have 1 minute to eat.
Yeah.
For that. And then after I finished 12:30, I had to catch one night bus. If I missed that night bus, I would have to wait for more than 2 hours.
So you're working from 5 p.m. until 12:30 at night?
Yeah.
Okay.
At first. And then I catch a night bus. I reach home at 1 o'clock, and boom, 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 I eat dinner 1:30.
Oh, I thought you meant something else.
Yeah,
Boom, boom, boom.
I met Kaka's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
And then I I sleep 1:30, and I woke up 3 o'clock. I woke up 3 o'clock. I had to start another job, cleaning job in university. I have a breakfast, and then have to catch a train. After 1 hour, I went to that university, and I worked 3 hours. And 8 o'clock, I come home. I eat 10. I eat lunch.
Yeah.
And 10 to 2, I sleep, and again same. Start once and again.
Welcome to real life, sir.
So this made Australia better than Korea?
No, not that. Not that makes Australia worse than Korea for me. Because I've always relaxed in Korea. I've never worked in Korea. That's why it feels good for me. But if I start
It's a
working
place,
here, it doesn't feel like that.
It's a place of healing, right? You
Yeah.
came. I think you've associated the recovery from your ulcer to living here, being relaxed.
But I mean, physically or culturally, when you got to Korea, you said, that you were, even when you were in the undergrounds, there were so many lights, and Dad has to tell you this is nighttime, but why is it so bright? In Australia, Korea is known as the Bali culture. Australia is probably a little more laid back, maybe?
Yeah.
Or was there any culture shock in that way? Or did you, whatever, Korea, Australia, doesn't matter. They're not
Doesn't
Nepal,
matter.
they're very different.
Yeah.
And
One day, my friends and cousin brother in Australia, they told me, never tell that you are doing a kitchen hand in here. Because in our country, even we have a party and everything, I told you, the top level, down level, and down level. All the kitchen hand works, the down level, they do the kitchen hand works.
Sudra.
Yeah, Sudras, right. And I told my grandfather, grandfather called me, yeah, how are you? How is life there? And yeah, it's good. Because it was just starting, I started work. Everything was good because I started earning money. The first money, I sent it to my mother. I feel so good that, oh my God, my mother cried. Yeah. And then my grandfather asked me, what are you doing there? I told him, I'm doing a kitchen hand. And he told me, you're joking, not a kitchen hand. Right? And I told him, no, we are doing a kitchen hand. There is no discrimination at work here. Everybody's same. And he told me, please don't do kitchen hand over there. If you are doing a kitchen hand, come back to Nepal.
tell them you make $15 an hour.
And then he'll tell, oh, do kitchen hand, do extra.
Okay, be the manager, kitchen manager,
Kitchen manager.
dishwashing supervisor.
Yeah.
Did you say for a while you couldn't eat at a restaurant after?
In an Italian restaurant.
Why? Because you ate so much Italian food, or because
No,
you saw?
Because I worked there for more than 8 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I couldn't eat that with the smell in the kitchen hand,
Yeah.
everything.
I had I worked in restaurants, you know, through high school and university, and I always until I would say even 5 years after I finished working, I could never sit down and fully enjoy in a restaurant. I still do it now. I'm watching I worked in every position in the restaurant, and I watch everyone. Like I'm looking at the busboy or the table cleaner, and I'm thinking, oh, I remember when I did that. And I feel kind of how, or I'm trying to think about how he feels, or the waitress or the server, you know. And that's I could never fully relax in a restaurant thinking about all of the work that is going into preparing my meal, and I kind of felt guilty that I'm not helping out in any way. I don't know. It's a weird.
That's why you're supposed to tip 20%.
Yeah.
Best part of Korea, no tipping.
Something I don't miss.
No
about
tipping.
home.
No tipping here, no.
You don't tip. Yeah, you don't. You don't give tips.
I only tip at your dad's restaurant.
Yeah.
Only a namaskar.
Only namaskar?
Yeah.
But those guys are all my brothers now. I know all those guys.
Yeah.
They
don't tip.
they
give a tips with
they take care of my kids like their nieces, and
I think, man, at home, I think tipping culture is good, but the mandatory, the expected tip is the one that bothers me. You know, I've had service, you know, less than good service, and you know the waitress lazily, I keep saying waitress, but the server, I don't know, I can't remember if it's male or female. You know, they what do you want today? Do you want alcohol? Do you want a drink? And I think of the thought is at home, if you're not drinking, maybe you're not going to tip. If you're going out for dinner or a date, your tip's going to be low, and then I think that translates into subpar service. No, I don't know. I've had some less than favorable service in my hometown. I don't know. I just think in some cases tipping's not. I don't think they deserve a tip or that I should be tipping, but
sure, absolutely.
But it's mandatory.
Where's it mandatory?
In Canada? What are you talking about?
No, it's not.
It's Canada, it's mandatory.
If I get shitty service, I don't tip.
Dude, they're career servers. A lot of them.
You both from Canada, right?
Yeah.
A lot of them.
But if they don't serve well, I don't tip them.
Yeah.
If the food's good, I don't mind. I've walked into the kitchen before and said, "This is for the chef." Yeah. The food's good. The service is horrendous.
But listen, growing up in the Falls, man, there's a lot of career people who make that's their bread and butter.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you just show up. You just show up and get the money. You still got to do the work. If you're the garbage man and you spill half the garbage, you're going to lose your job. You don't get.
I think it's different because they. What do you call it? It's the owners of the restaurant, man. That they're underpaying their servers based on
right. So they should provide good service, and that's what you got to work for. In Florida, my parents had a winter home in Florida, and I think the servers are paid $3 and something an hour, which is incredibly low. I mean, it's 2019. How can they possibly pay them that small? But the service is absolutely phenomenal. The service is amazing there. And I've been 2 or 3 times, and every time we've been to a restaurant, the service is fantastic compared to home, where most servers are still getting minimum wage at least, are they not?
Yeah.
So,
$8-10 an hour.
I mean, in America, it's way less than minimum wage because, and that in return gets you really good service. So if you're making, I remember at home, Moxie's or Kelsey's or some of those places, and some of them you get good service and some you don't. I have no problem telling someone, listen, this, and this were not good today. I'm sorry. And that's why I'm not tipping. I got no problem with that. The best part now going home is if it's terrible service, usually I'm with my wife and kids at home, my wife just gets her credit card and she pays and she writes 0 for the tip if she thinks we didn't get good service. Yeah. And they just think it's a cultural thing. Oh, maybe she doesn't speak English well, or when they take her order and she stumbles and then she goes to pay the bill, then they think, she doesn't understand our culture or something maybe. But if I'm ever embarrassed or don't want to say it, then sometimes I just give her the card and she has no problem putting 0 because she doesn't understand why we should give tips. So I try and explain that culture to her, but I mean, it's a very big cultural difference between East and West.
Tipping culture back home, I heard it's, again, I haven't lived home in 12 years, but I heard people tip the guys who pump gas. They tip the...
Sure, everybody. Sure, if you give good service. But that's the thing. Why would you tip a server for mediocre service when the mailman comes in -40 and delivers your mail every morning, or the garbage man or it's all the service industry.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you tip
See,
those guys as well?
Growing up, my brother's a mail carrier. I never considered. Well, that wasn't even part of my.
But we used to deliver newspapers. We got tips for delivering newspapers as kids.
Oh, yeah, I know. But I didn't deliver newspapers. But I never thought. Yeah, I don't know if my parents did growing up, but that was never part of my thing. Like, oh, maybe I should tip the mailman. But he gets the Tim Hortons cards or whatever for his for around Christmas time. He said everyone kicks in a little bit.
You know how tips works in Nepal? If you give a tips to somebody, then the owner knows, oh, this is a rich guy. That's it. The main thing you give tips is now you are let them know that you are a rich guy. That's it.
I don't know what's the currency in
rupee? Isn't
Rupee.
Right. How much is an average meal? Would it be like $5?
It's very cheap. No, $5. That's too much. But now it's $5. But you can get everything in $1 before.
Okay. So say if
$2.
Okay, so if a meal, say you go for a very nice meal, it's $5. How much would you tip? Would you tip an extra $1? Or would you tip 50 cents?
It doesn't exist. Only the richest guys.
Yeah.
Only guys from Color of Passion. You have enough money to...
So, listen, you said you're working 3 jobs now?
3 jobs, right?
In Sydney?
Now 2.
2. So did you get time? You got excused time to come on vacation for a month?
Yeah.
So what are you doing with the money? Why are you working so much? You said to pay school fees, but surely you must be making more than your school fees. You're only studying 2 days a week.
I work in aged care, and I work in a factory for the 8 hours night job. I earn something like the $3,500 for a month, something like that.
What is the minimum wage?
Minimum wage, and the base rate is $18 per hour.
18.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
you're rich.
It's much, or
You better start tipping.
really?
Holy shit!
18, yeah.
That's the base rate. Actually, if you work Sunday, you get $40 per hour.
Your dad told me you had some jobs where you're getting up to 40. Yeah.
Yeah, but just for 3 hours.
Yeah, well that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, that jobs. You know how did I get in that job? I told you I was working in healthcare as a cleaner before.
Yeah.
You have to get a certificate to be an RN or some personal care assistant.
Nurse assistant. Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't get any certificate.
But your dad told me the manager or the boss thought you were really good and really diligent in your work, and he kind of gave you some promotions there.
And he gave me the job of a personal care assistant. I told him that when my grandmother had a cancer, I used to help in every steps, and I used to take care of her. And then they gave me a job in personal care assistant. But I thought I would get in that job because it's easy. Because every time I see all the personal care assistants walking in the corridor.
But your father told me you're really earning your money there for personal care assistants.
Yeah, I'm earning that. And then,
dude, $120 for 3 hours on a Sunday.
Yeah,
I used to break my balls on Sunday morning, go in and cooking and cleaning. Man, I was getting $8 an hour. Jeez, that's not a bad gig, man.
So what do you doing all the money? It sounds $3,500 a month sounds living.
It's very expensive.
Living with 8 friends. Your rent seems pretty reasonable.
Australia, it doesn't matter. You're living with 8 friends or 12 friends.
What, the price is still expensive?
It's still expensive.
They pay you pay by the room, right? I mean, when
per person.
Even when Win was in, we have a common friend. When he was there, I think he was renting a room with his girlfriend there, and that was still $300 a week. Even we are 8 people in a house. I have to pay $110 per week for rent.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I think that's reasonable, especially in Sydney. So what do you do? Are you saving any money, or all the money is just for school fees? Can't be.
No, not only for the school fees. I'm saving money. I'm sending it Nepal to my father, to my mother, to do the households and everything.
Is that traditional customs in Nepal? If you go abroad, you would send your money home. I know your father told us that he used to send lots of money home to his father.
That's a traditional culture as well. I'm trying to support my father as well. I'm very proud of him and what he's doing.
Good.
And I think we have the same type of
mentality.
Yeah, mentality later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like opening an aged care or orphanage. Yeah.
Yeah, to open a healthcare facility or an orphanage.
Facilities.
So he told me that he was proud of you that you were able to save enough money to pay for your own way here and pay for your tickets and pay for everything to get here.
Yeah.
You paid your own way here?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you, man. Well done.
Well, when I meet you first time, you told me you thought that
you were lazy.
My father was.
Yeah, I told you were lazy. I'm just like your grandpa and your uncles. Yeah, you were lazy. Everything you had was because of your father. That was true. That was true, 100%.
That was true, right?
And
Yeah. How many? 3 years ago?
3 years ago.
I told you to get your ass in gear, start getting serious, and I told you the same this time. I'm impressed that you're working and you paid your own way here. I was glad to hear that because that's what you should be doing. And your father told me that he wants you to focus on your studies, but you're more interested in, he thinks you're only interested in money because now you see that money is valuable and you're not sure what your studies are going to lead to. But the same thing. I said, more than sending him money is help him with, this generation of technology. Build him a website for the school. Get him on Instagram. Make him promotions for the restaurant. That's stuff that should be natural for people your age and probably challenging for him and his age when he's got so many things going on. So now you took one step. Now it's time to take another step.
Yeah.
What age do you think it's appropriate or good to tell a kid to get his ass in gear?
His age when he came here.
When he came,
what do you want to do? I don't know.
I was flipped. I mean, I was pretty diligent with exercise or working or whatnot, but until I came here, I didn't hit that extra gear. Or I think as
soon as kids want the material items, as soon as you want a handphone or new shoes or whatever, my parents had 5 kids.
Yeah. I'm not materialistic.
Yeah. That's, dude, your dad.
Yeah, but I see your gold diamond-plated crocodile tooth on your necklace there. That's number one cast for sure.
After the, it's funny. After the podcast, me and your dad, I dropped him off at the restaurant after, and he was telling me the biggest concern in life is materialism. I mean, for all of the businesses he runs and all of the things that he's involved in, he said that the thing that makes him kind of not sleep at night, or the thing that really bothers him deeply, I think he used shoes as an example. He said this guy here, or, any kid, he buys the expensive shoes, not because he wants it, not because he worked hard and bought them, but because he thinks, well, the other person will look and say, oh, that's nice or whatever. And he thinks this is a big problem in the world. And I totally agree.
Even more than 80% now, they're going Australia, not because of their own will, because of their parents, because of their relatives, because of their friends. I came to Australia. The main reason was because of my friends. I used to dream my every friend is outside, they're doing well, everyone is doing well. I'm not doing anything. I'm not even accomplishing my certificate. Yeah. I lived out the college when I was in Nepal. After high school, I joined a photography and videography course. I didn't complete it. I wasted it. I joined the PT, the engineering.
Who paid for that course?
My father.
You see, this is what it is. When I went to school, even if I had been drinking till 4 a.m, I was paying for my own. I worked every single summer to pay my tuition because we had 5 kids, and my parents couldn't afford to send 5 kids to university. We were taught from a very young age, and those values were instilled upon us that if you wanted something, you got to go out and work for it. And I used to hate seeing kids like you in school who would come, once every 2 weeks and say, hey, Nate, can I borrow your notes? I missed the last 3 classes. But their parents were paying. Yeah. And they had a car, and they didn't care because they didn't take anything seriously. I used to hate that.
I'm exactly between both of you that, no days off in the summer. Kids, it's summer vacation. And I think now I have to work twice as much to pay for school. Yeah. But because I was working during the semester as well, I was coming and saying, hey, can I borrow your notes? And thanks to everyone who kicked in. I couldn't have done it.
All my brothers and sisters had jobs growing up and all through university. And we used to have 4 of us at the university at the same time. And we drove 4 different cars because we all went to different jobs after. And we'd leave at 8:30 in the morning, and we'd get home at 10 o'clock at night because we'd all go to school. After school, we'd all go to our jobs, and then we'd all go home. But we were very taught to be independent from a very young age. And back to your question, I think as soon as the kids start asking for stuff that's not the regular, a new pair of pants for school or shoes because they're worn out, once they wanting to be consumers, then you say, okay, now it's time that you start getting your ass in gear and doing something. So it's one thing if you're helping out in the grocery store and helping out, around in your dad or your grandpa or uncle's business. And that's kind of, you don't get a monetary salary, but you do get, provisions or whatever.
You get skills too as well, man.
And my parents always told you got a roof over your head, you got clothes, and you got food. Don't ask for anything else. You want something else? Go work for
At
it.
a young age, I think it's hard to understand them, and until you move away and are really, thrown into the mix, you don't you don't understand.
So now being in Australia, you must understand, or you must start to know. But there's still a lot of people who would say, "Hey, Dad, I need more money. I need more money. Send the money."
Lots of people.
And lots of my international students in Korea say, "Hey, Mom and Dad, send the money. Send the money. Send the money."
Right.
They don't work. I ask them all the time, "Why don't you guys work? None of you guys have jobs." Of most students, the most that do have jobs are the international students, but a lot of them still don't, and they just count on their parents. There are lots of Central Asian students, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Mongolia. They're from richer families in those countries, and their parents can afford that. But I think they're cheating their kids by not making them learn, to do it on their own. So, yeah, I think that's awesome that you're doing that, and I think it's time to step up again and learn. That's why I try and coach you a little bit and tell you how you can help out your father's businesses. You got time instead of playing on your phone. There's other things you can do, especially with the internet connections.
I like too that you made the decision to go to Australia by yourself. It wasn't your dad coaching you and you should do it, because the college that we work at, if you ask a lot of the students, why did you choose this major? Why did you choose that major? Well, my grandpa said it's a good, safe job. Well, why do you want to be a nurse? Why do you want to be this? Well, my mom said it's a good job. But what do you want to do? It's and I think going down the, fast forward 20 years or 30 years, I think a lot of those kids, if you're not making those decisions by yourself, in 20 or 30 years, you're going to look back and resent your parents for pushing you into the safe job, or kind of what they thought was best. Whereas if you made the decision by yourself.
But I think that's everywhere, right? I mean, that happens all over. Yeah. Doctor, lawyer, dentist, and then, at home it was go to teachers college, because there's so many teacher jobs. And then when the guys graduated, there was no jobs. And now there's a huge surplus of teachers. Yeah. So working all these hours and sleeping at weird times and short periods of the middle of the night and waking up at 3 a.m. What do you do for fun? Do you have any free time? You said you live with some cousin brothers there. Do you hang out? Do you get to go out and party and have fun? I know you have the motorcycle. Do you get to go out and ride a lot, or is that just to commute to work, or what do you do for fun?
I used to ride it on a highway before in Australia, but I didn't have one looking glass. I was riding an M4.
Well, you had a one what?
Looking glass.
Oh, you mean the back mirror?
No, the front mirror, in bike.
Yeah.
Looking glass.
Rear view.
Yeah.
Looking glass.
Yeah. I didn't have the one on the right side. I was crossing the lane. One car came on from that side. He nearly touched me. Oh my God, I felt same like that butterfly effect.
Yeah. That's funny. That's what happened to me today on the way here. Except the guy hit me.
After that day, I stopped riding in the highway. I just go to work for 10 minutes, come back under 10 minutes, because it saves my money. It's very cheap riding.
Saves time.
Like that.
And convenient too. When I was telling you too, when I was here early, driving from class to class to class or school to school, it was impossible. If I wanted to really work, I needed the bike to kind of cut between cars. But after the accident, I explained this to him earlier, but during my kickboxing days or whatever, dude, you feel invincible. You get low kicked or punched in the face, it's like, oh, this doesn't hurt. Listen, when you get hit on a motorcycle and you're flying through the air, you feel it's the same. It was almost the same feeling as being on the high floor during the earthquake. You just feel like, oh my, I'm nothing. I could be extinguished. I got to change my name to Avinas is what I think.
Indestructible.
Yeah. Have you ever experienced the earthquake?
Yeah, here.
Have you?
Yeah.
Not like the ones in Nepal, no, but here we've had a few.
I was in Nepal that time.
Good.
How old were you? Must have been young.
Not young, just 2 or 3 years ago. 3 years.
The really big one.
The really big one was only 3 years ago?
Yeah, when I read back.
It seems like 6 or 7 years already.
Yeah,
3.
Not the 6 or 7. Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago. That time, you understand life when you get that up.
Sure, it flashes before your eyes.
Yeah.
You're lucky to be alive every day, sure.
You know the Nirmal?
Yeah,
Nirmal.
yes.
Her daughter?
Yes.
She and his
passed away.
Mother. They were all buried up in our house. We used to stay in the same house. I took out her daughter with my own hand. Then I feel, money is nothing.
Sure.
Money is nothing. Money is something now, but not everything.
Yeah.
Main thing is the life and the relatives.
If you don't have family and health, you have
family,
nothing.
Right. You have to you should have a good relation with the people. It affect everything. I used to think I'm just a human. I couldn't do everything. But now I've started thinking I'm a human. Only one species that can think and learn very quickly. That's why that's the main thing I have changed. I'm being too much spiritual nowadays.
No. It's fine.
I'm following Sadhguru. He's an Indian spiritual person now.
Yeah.
I'm understanding life now. I'm very proud that I'm in Nepal, and I'm very proud of my father. He never scolded me like a father. When I need, he used to.
Because you're almost
like
the same age.
Now the morning, the taxi driver, he told me, "That's your friend or what?" And I told him, "He's my father." He told me, "You're joking." I get the word "you're joking" always.
Yeah, well, he looks very young still, right? I mean,
Yeah,
the Asians age very graciously. Has that had a lasting impact on you, that earthquake? And, that would have been your cousin?
Yeah.
Nirmal's daughter would have been your cousin, right? So did that have a lasting impact on you, lasting effect on you?
Always. My maternal uncle, he made one song as well in that. That time was a very hard time in Nepal. We stayed outside in a tent for more than 1 month. And outside in a tent, here's my house. I stay nearby house. We stay nearby house. But we have one good thing is we had a TV.
And you guys lost several family members in that earthquake?
Lots of near our village, we lost more than 28 peoples, children and everything. Everybody has a different story. We went to my mother's house is nearby my house. I mean the mother's
family house.
Yeah. It's very near. My father told me, if I told my cow is outside the
my cow.
yeah. He used to like even our cow is outside in the field. My father, he told our cow is outside in the field. You take it and put it on the inside the home, and it is so much near from there.
Yeah.
And we went up in my mother's family house. Lots of people. I have never seen a people dead in front of my eyes.
Yeah.
So many people, more than 28 people in a day. People are visiting everywhere, nothing. And that time, India, the why the people nowadays don't like India? Because at that time, the India government, they blocked all they had a blockage in the border.
Yeah.
Right.
No drinks, no everything.
Right.
That's why.
Close the border, yeah.
Dude, life is so...
There you go. Gives you perspective. That's what I always say. It's perspective. You can look at everything in two ways, right? In a good way or a bad way. You can take it how you want, but perspective is everything.
It's wild to think about the things we complain about. The Wi-Fi doesn't reach my bedroom.
Yeah.
Oh, my phone has low battery. Oh, this or that. Like, oh, it's raining today and there's no taxi. God, there's so many things that.
Yeah.
So what does the future hold for you? Where do you plan to? How long do you have left in your studies? And what your father's between Korea and Nepal? Mom, I assume, is going back to Nepal as well. What are your plans for the near future, distant future?
After 1 year, I'll get a degree studying IT. After that, I will study another subject, not the IT, because I'm not too much interested in IT. Yeah,
I can tell you changed to only go 2 days a week.
yeah, because I didn't apply Australia just to study IT. Yeah. More than 100% students from Nepal nowadays, they apply just for a visa. They go to agents and tell, which subject they have a PR. And they tell this option, 3 options. Okay, you have to choose one subject. And which subject, it's very easy. They tell this subject. Okay,
whatever gets the permanent residency.
Yeah.
So they have no intention of coming back to Nepal?
No one.
So among your friends and colleagues, are lots of them abroad, or most of them still in Nepal?
Lots of them abroad, and even they are studying in high school. They will apply for the visa. They are just 1 year ago.
What kind of jobs can they assume to get in Nepal?
Nepal?
Or is there no jobs? Or
you can't imagine jobs after high school, after degree. Even now, the one who have done PhD, they are striving for the jobs.
So making your own business or creating your own business would be an option, or for you, I guess, piggybacking off your dad's ventures?
No, I would obviously help in my dad business. But look forward to open one HQ
In Nepal?
in Nepal.
Only for the top class
No,
cast?
not like that.
Everybody?
If possible, if I get money, if I get rich, I will do it free of cost for them.
Free of cost. Good for
Free
you.
of cost, yeah.
How are you going to get rich?
Not good for me, good for others.
How are you going to get rich? Because I'm also looking to get rich. So do you what is your plan? Let me know.
Main thing is I'll enhance my capabilities to handle my father business and do some kind of business in Nepal. I don't have a proper planning what kind of business now, but I have to study. I want to experience everything in Australia, how it works because it's not only limited in Nepal now. Everything I do in Nepal it is connected to US, it is connected to Australia. People all over the world, they are connected now. It's a very small place now, so I have to get to know all of the things, and then I'll figure it out.
Gain as much knowledge and experience as you can in Australia.
Right. If I tell my friends I'll go back to Nepal after 3 or 4 years, they'll tell me, "Have you lost your mind? Why you are going back to Nepal?"
Really? But that's your father told us when he came, everybody's dream was to, come to Korea, make easy money. And he got here and it was the hardest thing he's ever done. Very far from being easy money. So I have one more question for you. When you go back to Nepal,
Yeah.
do you suffer from reverse culture shock? When I go back to Canada, I feel very alone. I feel lonely. Yes, my family, of course, loves me. And it's nice to see everyone for 1 day or 2 days. But then I kind of feel like I'm floating, or I'm just kind of alone because they can't connect to any part of my life. It's very difficult for people that I used to hang out with to understand how I live or what we do. And it's not that different, but it's different enough. So, and even just understanding, like subconsciously hearing English all the time and understanding is very, very different than in Korea. I can turn my listening on or off if I want to hear the passive conversations. Do you get reverse culture shock going home or no?
Obviously. The last time when I went back to Nepal, I stayed there for 1 month. After 15 or 20 days, I feel like I could go to Australia. I'll get a good sleep now. Because people's and their thoughts and thinkings, it doesn't get really matched with your thoughts and thinkings and culture and how they treat the works. Even now, people they don't. There is a discrimination in work like before in Nepal. That's why it is very hard to cope with the environment nowadays. If you go back from Australia to Nepal, it's the same thing. If you come to Australia from Nepal, it's the same thing.
Yeah. So if you went back to Nepal now, and I mean, you saved money, you sent money to your mom and dad, and Grandpa knows that you're helping out, and you're getting educated, and you're learning all these skills and qualities, getting great experience. If you wanted to marry a lower caste girl now, do you think that would be okay or no?
Maybe not, because after 1 or 2 years, they have changed. Even now.
So they will all be sad again? Avinas is back. Indestructible coming back.
Yeah, indestructible is coming back. Even now, my grandfather, I told you, he had some argument with we used to call that girl Gori. Gori means the white girl. And even her mother, she used to call her Gori. I didn't even know her name.
So what do you guys call Brian? Super Guri?
You know what's funny though, that if we were at home, we can't refer to people like, hey, it's the black guy, hey, it's the brown guy, hey, it's the super white guy. But when me and Nate were at a party last summer, and we met the South Africans, they had special names for, like, what was it? It was like darky or something, wasn't it? I can't
There's some that would see. I mean, I think I would get shot for saying that stuff, but
yeah, dude,
it's surprising to hear all of them. They would describe them to us in terms of the darkness of the coffee.
Yeah. Coffee.
What an Americano is called this, a cafe latte is called this.
Coffee latte is coming. Coffee.
No. I mean, they would give us the names based on the shade of the coffee colors of it. Tell us what the names were.
Yeah.
I think. Again, I might get shot for getting this wrong, but I think like black people were called darky, and I couldn't imagine going home and finding a black friend and saying like, hey darky.
You can't even.
I feel guilty even just talking about this, man. Yeah. But it's totally fine in there.
But I think a lot of that is is confined to our culture, North American or maybe Western, because when I was in Africa, they'd say, "Hey, white man," and they'd chant, "White man, how are you? We are fine, thank you." Every day when I walked down the street, and I was like, I can't imagine chanting this for a black person in my country. You would get killed. But they would chant, and it was a good thing. It was it wasn't a negative or derogatory thing, and that's how they called people.
It's the guy from Passion of Colors. What was it?
Color of Passion. But they would say the foreign guy. Which one?
Getting popular.
Which one? The brown one or the white one or the black one? And that was. It was just a logical way of describing, so you know who they were talking about. But that's one thing. It's so hypersensitive at home with all that stuff. It's one thing I don't really look forward to going home. But
I got one more question. I don't know. You being in the top caste, moving out of the country, having the experiences, having a great dad who supports you, and working and gaining experience, and you've had opportunity that your friends haven't had. When you go home, is there any sense of guilt when you meet your friends, and maybe not guilty? I don't know how to explain this.
I will tell you, I feel guilty now because I've traveled all over the world, and I'm the luckiest guy to be born in Canada, in a safe country, in a peaceful country, where I'm not persecuted for my religion or my color or my race. Or I feel so lucky, and so many people are discriminated against and persecuted for nothing in their control. That I do feel guilty sometimes, and I've become more sensitive, especially after having kids, to all of these different problems in the world, just for things that people can't control. Just because they're born in Syria, I have no right to complain about anything, because so many people have so many other greater issues than anything I could ever complain about. Yeah. So I do feel guilty. Is that what you mean, like that?
Oh yeah, I just mean like going home, and if you're out for a meal with your friends or hanging out with your buddies. Do you feel you have to hold back some stories? Like, I assume your friends in Nepal aren't cruising around on Hyosung motorcycles and
not making $18 an hour.
Do you feel you have to hold back some stories, or you can't fully express your because I sometimes at home, again I'm going home next week, but I find sometimes I have to kind of bite my tongue when explaining some stories or experiences,
because it comes across as boasting or bragging.
Absolutely, and that it's not my intention to do that, but I mean,
I've learned to just try not to share anymore. Dude, it comes off like that boasting every time.
Snorkeling, like, I was in the Philippines and I was snorkeling and it was clear blue water and
it was minus 42 here. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, but I mean, you go down under the water and there's you can't even imagine 1,000 fish, all in your face. And then I get excited when I tell stories. I'm replaying it in my head. It's not my intention to tell everyone, oh, look how good my life is. And
but it's natural to want to share your experiences. Yeah. Think, dude, I've traveled all over. That's the biggest. I love to talk. I love to share stories. That's my biggest problem at home is I need a muzzle, because I think I come off arrogant or boasting or bragging, and that's not my intention at all. But I think they're cool, amazing stories, and but people didn't have the same experiences, so I just try and close my mouth. And
I try not to even. Something that really bothers me these days is that the Facebook or Instagram where you're looking and everyone's life is always wonderful, and I really tone it down on I barely post anything, but when I do meet someone face to face, it's hard to dial it back and put everything into perspective. But
I've learned to do it really well over the years. Yeah. I think people just say, hey, shut up. I don't want to hear it. Enough of your stories. Let's talk about the Blue Jays or something that everybody can talk about, because you're the only one who knows this stuff and it's not fun for us.
But do you feel any sense of guilt or do you feel any need to hold back your story? Like,
No. I don't think like that. The stories that are meant to be shared. Every experience. Main thing is you own people by sharing the stories. Like you tell me the story, we get more connected. I tell you a story, we get more connected.
But I think that's because you've lived more similar to how we have, traveling and whatever. Now, if I met you in Nepal, you might think I'm very interesting at first as the foreigner, new to your town, village, country, city, whatever. But after a while, you think, I just can't connect with this guy. He's talking about stuff I can't even imagine. I don't even know about. And it's different being from very developed countries where you do have the opportunity. But I would say a lot of the people at home have the standard vacation of, Caribbean vacations. And that's very standard. Understandably, I would be too. But ours are just very different. And, it's hard to meet on the same level in a lot of ways.
Anyways, let's celebrate the differences. Yeah.
Last one before we wrap this up. If you were the president of Nepal, what would you change?
In Nepal?
Yeah.
Main thing is utilize the tax properly. Utilize the tax for the public. They haven't done anything, not a single thing they have done. All thing is about the bribe in Nepal nowadays. Main thing is the tax. Second thing.
What would you use the tax to fix?
What would I use?
Yeah. You say to use it properly.
Would you put it into infrastructure, building
healthcare facilities or schools or what?
Healthcare facilities and making the public areas, the parks and everything everywhere, and making the signboards, and they don't have any signboards, traffic lights and everything. Making the traffic lights and everything.
I just remembered back, and it was like the Wild West when I was there. Kathmandu was a gong show.
And the roads and everything. I want to. Main thing is the awareness. The people are not aware. Even in the lots of parts of Nepal, they don't know they are living in Nepal. They don't know the name of their country.
Really?
Now, yeah. If you
so that's just lack of education.
Lack of education and awareness.
Is that what you mean by awareness? They're education would make them more aware.
Yeah.
But I mean, I again, some of those back villages and stuff, through the Himalayas and stuff, they probably don't need to know where they live. It just doesn't affect their life. Yeah. They live in the bush, they live in the countryside, they have their little plot, they farm, and it's just kind of sustainable living. They have no...
I wonder if that's, the Western or the global mindset that they should know where they live. They've lived like that for centuries, and they wake up, boom, the mountain's there, the sun rises here, my plants grow at this time. What more do you need? You want to complicate it with a handphone?
Yeah,
the looks on some of those faces when I walk through there, I'm like, where did you come from? But yeah, why would you want to come here? Where are you from? How? So yeah, it must be. I mean, I think a lot of them are very content where they are, and for some of them, maybe the name of their country is not. It has no effect on their life.
The irony is that we go so far the other way,
right?
That we wish, like, oh goddamn, I just want to take a break and live that kind of lifestyle, right? We've gone so far this way with technology and fast life, right? And then we wish to go back to living beside the mountain and farming and having the simple life. It's funny, but anyways. Listen, dude, very, very thank you very much for coming and spending almost 2 hours of your time of your time with us. We got the full love story. That was wonderful. We, and it's great, man. I enjoy sharing stories and getting a different perspective on life, man. You're still a young buck. What, 23?
23, right?
23 years old. You got a
whole life ahead of you.
Yeah. I remember 11 years ago, man. I was where you were, and I think you're on a good path, man. Keep up the hard work. Don't
enjoy the chill too long in Korea.
No,
you get stuck.
Don't be trapped by that dogma of everyone telling you you're a lazy boy. You're doing good, man. Keep on the track and keep working away. You're doing good.
Thank you so much.
You're gonna make your old man proud. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. We'll check in again soon. Have a good day, everyone.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.